Jannik Sinner, the Italian tennis player with an angelic face but strokes powerful enough to make even a statue sweat, let loose this Friday in a press conference ahead of the Australian Open. He made it clear that the matchups between him and the Spanish phenomenon Carlos Alcaraz are, basically, the tennis equivalent of a Hollywood blockbuster. Those matches between him and me are what people really want to see. It's like we're the last Coke in the desert right now, he said with a mischievous smile. When asked about the always controversial Nick Kyrgios and his comments on Sinner's supposed doping case, the Italian didn't even blink. "Look, I haven't done anything wrong, and I'm not going to waste my time responding to the nonsense of someone who spends more time talking than playing," he replied with the kind of calm only someone confident in their innocence could muster. The tension, however, is palpable, not just because Kyrgios always finds a way to stir the pot, but because the eyes of half the world are glued to these clashes between young tennis prodigies. "When Alcaraz and I play, it's like the planet's temperature goes up a couple of degrees," Sinner joked. "I think he feels the same way." The guy from San Candido also tried to downplay things a bit, reminding everyone that while he and the Spaniard are the center of attention, there are plenty of other players who can bring the heat. "We're young, we're hungry, and when two players of this level face off, the result is usually an epic match. At the end of the day, we're just trying to put on a show and make sure the crowd enjoys it. Because, let's be honest, who wants to pay for a ticket to watch a boring match?" he added with a laugh. The 2025 season is off to a strong start for Sinner, who, after an exhausting year that included the Davis Cup and a seemingly endless calendar, decided to take his time to recharge. "Last season felt like a damn marathon. You need to stop, breathe, adjust a few things, and make sure your body doesn't give up on you," he explained, making it clear that his break was as strategic as it was necessary. Sinner arrives in Melbourne carrying the weight of being the defending champion. "This place has something special. Coming back here gives you butterflies in your stomach, but also that little buzz of, let's see what the hell happens this time. In a Grand Slam, you never know if you'll face an inspired opponent in the first round or if you'll have a shitty day," he confessed with brutal honesty. With the Australian Open just around the corner and everyone eagerly anticipating another epic battle against Alcaraz, Sinner seems ready for whatever comes his way. And Kyrgios? Well, he'll probably keep talking from the sidelines while the big players do what they do best: play tennis. As for the rest of us mere mortals, all we can do is grab a bowl of popcorn and enjoy the show. Jannik Sinner didn't beat around the bush when talking about his current state in tennis. "Look, I know exactly how much sweat and hours we've put into this, but time will tell how everything turns out. This isn't a fucking exact science, alright?" the Italian quipped when asked about his current level. Even though last season was absolutely on fire for him, he knows tennis, like life, doesn't come with guarantees. "I need more time, more matches, to know exactly where I stand. This is a marathon, not a sprint," he added with the calm confidence of someone who knows he's ahead in the race. Last year was an earthquake in his life, both on and off the court. "It was a crazy year. I won my first Grand Slam, took the Davis Cup, reached world #1, and crushed it at the ATP Finals," he said, mixing pride with a touch of humility. "That's all great, but I also realize that there are responsibilities and commitments that eat up your time, especially when you want to keep training at the highest level. Sometimes it feels like you're playing a match against the calendar." Still, Sinner isn't entirely satisfied. "There are still 12 fucking Grand Slams I haven't won. Roland Garros and Wimbledon, for example. Sure, we could have done some things better here and there. And that's the goal for this year, to improve," he stated with the confidence of someone who knows his potential is sky high. This year, the Italian has decided to fine-tune his game, particularly his serve. "We've made some small technical and tactical changes. Nothing crazy, but enough to make a difference in matches. Tennis is a sport where everything matters. The physical side, the mental side, it's all part of one damn cocktail, and if one thing fails, the rest falls apart. So, we've focused on becoming more complete during preseason," he explained. Regarding the doping accusations, which have been buzzing around like an annoying mosquito, Sinner was clear and firm. "In my mind, I know exactly what happened, and that's why I block it out. I didn't do anything wrong, which is why I'm still here, playing, competing, and giving it my all," he assured. "The most important thing is to have the right people around you, people you trust, who know what really happened." He also shared how he's always been extremely careful. "Every time I saw an open bottle, I threw it away. I never took any chances with this stuff. So, for me, there's nothing to change because I've always been this meticulous," he concluded. Of course, Nick Kyrgios couldn't resist throwing some shade, but Sinner didn't give him the time of day. "Look, if Kyrgios wants to talk, let him talk. I've got better things to do than waste time on bullshit," he said with a slightly mischievous grin. Meanwhile, the tennis world is gearing up for the Australian Open, and the atmosphere is electric. Carlos Alcaraz, for his part, recently passed a tough final test against Alex de Minaur and heads to Melbourne with good momentum. The start of the season feels like that moment when you crack open an ice-cold beer after a long day. All the ATP big shots are ready to go, and we, the fans, are here to soak up every minute, Sinner joked as he wrapped up the interview. With the first Grand Slam of the year about to kick off, it's clear that the ATP's top dogs, including Sinner, are ready to bring their A-game. And if one thing's certain, it's that between Kyrgios's potshots, Alcaraz's thrilling matches, and Sinner's masterstrokes, the spectacle is guaranteed. Did someone say popcorn? Carlos Alcaraz, our beloved Carlitos, has stretched his preseason like a piece of gum, and the truth is, he still hasn't played an official tournament this year. His preparation has been limited to a handful of practice matches to get into rhythm, but in the latest one, we started to see glimpses of the star he is. That said, after taking a hard knock against Alex de Minaur in the first match, he redeemed himself by beating Alexei Popyrin. Now, let's be honest, Popyrin isn't exactly the type of opponent to go crazy over in Australia. The guy isn't the best returner in the world, but hey, it gave Carlitos a chance to make adjustments and build confidence, and confidence is exactly what he needs after Demon made him sweat more than a politician during a campaign. Carlitos is in the middle of adapting to the changes he made during the preseason, including tweaks to his serve mechanics and modifications to the weight of his racket. Why complicate things, you might ask, but these adjustments take hours and hours of hard work on the court. While he looked a bit uncomfortable in his first match, he started much better in the second. Popyrin, with all his skills, is nowhere near as dangerous as de Minaur, especially when it comes to returning, and Alcaraz took full advantage of that, holding his first serves with ease. In the fifth game of the first set, he secured a break and calmly held onto it to win the set 6-3. His serve was clicking, and although his forehand had a few uncharacteristic errors, he was hitting it with good pace. That said, his backhand, usually his secret weapon, wasn't quite at its usual lethal level. The second set started like a walk in the park, an early break and a 3-0 lead for the Spaniard. But, surprise, surprise, the local crowd began to rally behind their player, and Popyrin responded like someone who just downed a shot of adrenaline. With the score at 4-2 for Carlitos, the Australian broke serve to level the match. Not only that, but he also had 3 more chances to break Alcaraz's serve. However, Carlitos dug deep, fought like a champ, and managed to close out the set 6-4. While there's still plenty of room for improvement, he walked away with good vibes heading into his Australian Open debut. Speaking of the Open, Alcaraz's path in Melbourne won't exactly be a walk on the beach. In the first round, he'll face Kazakhstan's Alexander Shevchenko, a rival who shouldn't give him too much trouble. But if everything goes according to the script, he could face Novak Djokovic in the quarterfinals and Alexander Zverev in the semifinals. Yes, folks, things are about to get seriously intense. By the way, the tournament kicks off this Sunday with 16 matches in the bottom half of the draw. We'll have to wait until Monday to see Carlitos in action, as he's already set to face Shevchenko. Meanwhile, other names like Jan Munar, Alejandro Davidovich, and Pedro Martinez will have their moments on the court. Munar, for instance, will take on Norway's Casper Ruud. Davidovich will face China's Zhang Zhizhen. and Martinez will square off against Italy's Luciano Darderi. In short, there's plenty of action to look forward to. On the women's side, Sunday also promises excitement, with players like Paula Badosa taking on Sinew Wang and Aryna Sabalenka headlining the match of the day against Sloane Stephens. So, if you're a tennis fan, this is the perfect time to dive into the season. And hey, since you're here reading all this, why not subscribe to our channel? At Tennis Extra, we work our butts off to bring you in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and the best tournament coverage out there. If you want to stay on top of what's happening in the tennis world, this is the place for you. Subscribe, leave a like, and get ready to experience the thrill of tennis like never before. Because, let's face it, what sports without some great content and a touch of humor? See you on the court, champs!